I live in a pretty well-off, mostly middle-class neighborhood right outside a decently sized university. For the most part, everyone gets along. Almost everyone from the bordering cul-de-sacs are engaged in local politics. And despite the small population, we have a vibrant yet often unexplored history. Only about 17,000 people live here, but a good portion of that is students. So when the college kids aren't studying for finals or on break, there's almost always at least one huge fraternity party. And it's public knowledge that you shouldn't try to leave your house when the bars are full. Despite the constant ambient noise, it's nice here. Property taxes are high, and it's not often that a house goes on the market. It's the sort of town to raise a family in, one where, even when you and your kids are out of the schooling system, you rarely have plans on moving out. There's not much to do downtown, so people around here tend to go on long walks every day. There's a few forested trails scattered around the area, like little secrets only residents know about. Unmarked clearings tucked between houses whose path had been worn over the years by the intermittent foot traffic. As you make your way along one of these paths, you'll see glimpses of people's backyards, with their perfectly manicured lawns, gardens devoid of any weeds, and exorbitantly expensive playhouses. Eventually, the path gets darker as you go down deeper into the woods. There's a turn in the trail that goes unnoticed, considering the debris that obstructs it. Yeah, it's like a whole abandoned town. I found a living resident. She doesn't live there anymore, I don't think. Obviously, because it's abandoned. So I think I'm gonna call her. Here, there's only about 5 acres of land, occupied only by an occasional squirrel, raccoon, or bird. There's 4 houses on this land. The first was built in 1929 and has 6 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The second was built in 1925 with 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The third was built in 1945 and was most likely used as an office space. And the fourth was constructed in 1950 and has 5 bedrooms and 2.5 bathrooms.
Good afternoon, Registry of Deeds.
Hi, is this who I would go to learn, property history?
Yeah.
There's some houses near mine, and I was kind of interested on the history.
Like when they were built, Matt?
Huh?
Like when they were built in that?
Yeah,
So the only thing that I can tell you is, here you just look up the owner's name, and you go back that way.
Oh,
You
okay.
do it for a short time, and then something that's, older, like 1920s, or something like that, prior to that.
Okay, so the current owner is a management company named Daylily RE. I just wanted to know, what the kind of resident was and, why they had to leave.
I don't think that we would know. We definitely wouldn't know any of that, because the only thing we do is report on that.
Okay.
So it showed that, so the Daylily place, it went back to them after it was foreclosed on from Stonemark Management. Daylily bought it back for $255,000. The reason that it was foreclosed on, obviously they weren't making their payments, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's usually the thing. So I don't know.
They're all in similar states of decay. Every window has been shattered, mold has been deteriorating the house's stability, roofs have been caved in, doors have been beaten down and boarded up more times than you could count. Fallen trees obscure the path, and weeds have all but fully covered the cracked pavement. It feels abandoned, but there's always people here. This is where a lot of teenagers go to sell and do drugs. You found a lighter? Every time I visit, I see a new keep out sign, new discarded beer cans, new decay. I don't want to be in here, actually. I came here once in the summer to find that one of the doors had been ripped off its frame. The next week, new plywood blocked the entrance. Recently, the door opened up again, but it's only a matter of time before it's closed. Oh, is it? Which one? The red one?
It looks like it's broken. Kick it in.
Kick it.
No, this one.
Okay.
I don't want you to.
You should knock.
What if there's bees in there?
I come here frequently, around the 1st of May. That's when the daffodils start blooming in front of the first house, so my girlfriend and I walk over and harvest all the flowers we can fit in the vase back home. Sometimes, while we're picking flowers under the no trespassing signs, I wonder who planted them, if anyone. Maybe it was the previous owners, whose clear absence has taken a toll on the property. Or the neighbors, whose own gardens flourish this time of year.
Window. Look at that though, Kira. Oh, Kira, there's people living right there.
Okay, maybe not. Let's leave.
Maybe he was another curious visitor who just wanted to leave something behind. Something more substantial than the mini cigarette butts and shards of glass.
Look at the broken glass.
Isn't it cute? Yes! Love a good broken glass.
There's hints about who used to live here. There's Mac setup CDs, notes to roommates, parking information, and bike parts.
That bike didn't used to be there.
I always love when there's new bikes.
Call that number?
Maybe not.
Why? I think Kara was right.
That is not a valid option in this menu.
Hello?
Goodbye.
Okay. It's not a real number. Let me try again though.
I wanted to know who owned this land. There's not a lot of information on it, like it's been forgotten about by the local government.
We're walking into what's a private property. No trespassing.
Yeah, whatever. I know who owns it. I mean, I don't know them personally, but I know who is owning it.
In 2010, a company named Daylily RE LLC bought the land for $255,000. Though Zillow in the state claim that it's worth double that. I called around and was only told the same information over and over again.
Yeah, so you're
Okay.
just wanting to look at records?
Yeah.
Search up records? Yeah,
Yeah.
you would want to go to the county that in question.
Okay. Would it have to be my
Okay.
property? Because there's a house near me that's like abandoned, you know?
Oh, if you can search by address, I'm not sure.
Daylily didn't have a functional phone number, and then the people who did respond could only tell me when the current owners bought the land.
I have to call Daylily. I'm worried that they're gonna accuse me of trespassing, which I was. So. Call ended. Now that's upsetting. You don't love to see that. I guess I should email them.
This is crazy, but I never expected it to actually get to this point, but I did get in contact with the previous owners, right? Hi, is this a... I live, like, really next to, and I've noticed that it's been abandoned, and I'm doing, sort of, I guess, a story on it for school, and maybe you lived there, and I hope that I'm not, wrong or sound creepy in this. And we talked yesterday, and I got a lot of new information, and so I scripted all of this video before talking to them, so I'm gonna have to change a lot of that script.
Do you know how asbestos smells? Yeah, I don't know what the asbestos is like. I don't think I've ever been able to see through the window. Because they board up all the windows. Because people like to get in there.
I managed to get in contact with some former residents of the property. Two sisters, Leslie and Amy, who had lived there for their whole childhood and young adulthood. I arranged to meet them, and we talked for about an hour. The long history starts in the early 1910s with a man named George Bauer. He and his wife were German immigrants living in Michigan, before learning about a job opportunity from a family friend who was a math professor at the University of New Hampshire. He and his wife bought the property and built the first house in 1920. I was surprised to find out that, the land I was able to explore and that had all the architecture built on it amassed 5 acres. The actual property the family owned was 10 acres and went far back into the woods. At this time, the land was rather barren, devoid of any trees. But quickly, as the family grew, so did the surrounding flora. Dr. Bauer became a dean at the university and had some kids who had also taken residency in his home. As the family expanded, they built a second house, and a third, and finally a fourth, which at the time was used as a chicken coop adjacent to a cow barn. Near the back of the property, where the current trails are, the family had a Christmas tree farm. They mentioned that their grandfather had started up a wholesale laundry and dry cleaning store called Craig's Supply Company, and had turned the third house into his office and business center. The fourth house also acted as an office building, as the company grew to be New England's largest laundry wholesale firm. From what I could tell, at least through Amy and Leslie's rosy retrospection, things were wonderful. Every year around Christmas, the family would cut down the pine trees they had grown all year and give one to each of their employees. When the sisters' grandparents passed away, the ownership of the property was bestowed to their father and aunt, who continued to run the family business and farm. Around this time, they began leasing the fourth house as apartments to old family friends and university students. They also started leasing to the UNH soccer team, which, allegedly, threw rather large and boisterous parties often, and who, unofficially, became known as one of the rowdiest frats at UNH, which is saying something. They were an NRA member! Amy and her family had owned this land for 90 years, and had seen 5 generations be born, get old, have children, and die here. It was something they were understandably proud of and loved. However, around 2005, their father began to suffer from Parkinson's disease, and he and his sister could no longer maintain the land. His children, while distraught, could not feasibly buy the property to retain ownership and were forced to sell it to Stonemark Management Company. Stonemark had plans on building a small cul-de-sac on the land, comprised of about 12 houses. This required them to tear down the paths, an unpopular decision, which nearby residents made abundantly clear with their lobbying and protest. When this project was cancelled, the company attempted to build a senior living facility on the property, which too was denied. Stonemark soon went bankrupt for unrelated reasons, and thus foreclosed on the property, leading us to the most current owner, Daylily RE LLC.
We could open this door.
You could?
Yeah, but don't film it.
Why?
I don't know, it's kind of weird.
Is that a crime?
Yeah.
While I listened to these sisters reminisce about their property and their old home, they affectionately called the Little House, I could tell that they and their family cared deeply about the acreage. They were avid farmers and hosted garden parties frequently.
You can really tell it used to be a house, or was going to be a house.
No, it was a house for a very long time. This land has been abandoned for 15 years, but it's not for lack of trying. Amy and her family fought hard to try to buy back their childhood home, but they faced a rigged auction, a lack of response, and zero remorse from either Stonemark or Daylily. Amy said she has not tried visiting her home since it was bought from right under her family, though she drives past it almost daily. She's thought about returning to try to salvage any of the old flowers her mother and grandmother tended to for decades. But the idea of trespassing in her own home felt off, let alone witnessing something she cared about so deeply be destroyed and forgotten. She and her sister still care about it, though. They think about it often, about the many Christmases, wheelbarrow races, garden parties, and carefree afternoons they spent there, about the people that used to call it home, and about what they wish they could have done differently. But there's not much they could have done. The mold and disrepair made the buildings unsteady. Most of it cannot be salvaged.
We tried to get Steven to go up the stairs in that one, and he was like 160 pounds, and he said that the stairs were creaking.
Amy told me, when we sold it, it was in great condition, perfect for a family. It makes me mad that they just didn't care.
that they saw it as an investment, not as a place with a history or as a home. While Amy and her sister were about to leave to pick up her kid, they told me they were glad that someone still cares, that this was not all for nothing, and that it'll be remembered for what it used to be. Oh my god, there's a CD. I haven't gone back since I shot this footage. It felt more like a game than anything else. I doubt I'll be able to keep myself from going back, but now I'll remember that people used to call this home, that these empty rooms and barren walls hold so much history.
But then again, it isn't really abandoned at all.
She might be collecting flowers. There's flowers there. Yes, there she is.
There's signs of animals reclaiming this space. They've built nests in mailboxes. They live inside the otherwise uninhabited homes.
That's a sound.
Oh.
Wait, Morgan, don't go away.
I'm scared.
Ah! I think it's a squirrel.
In there? In there?
Did you get that on film?
Yeah.
That's a really loud squirrel.
It might be
What if it's
roadkill.
a furry?
It was moving.
It might be
Are you
moving
should be
roadkill.
filming?
I am filming this.
And there's always people exploring, making this place their own, even if they don't plan on staying.
You see that tread? That's my other sneakers. I stepped in the goosh.
What is full of so many bees?
Just, oh my god, it's Bee City in there.
What if
That's the bee's house.
There's always people exploring, making this place their own, even if they don't
Okay.
plan on staying for more than an hour. Everything continues, even if no one's around to see it. Flowers still grow, and there's still people who care. The old owners still think fondly of this place, and I'm sure future explorers will have fun memories to share. It's beautiful in its own way.
Yay, Bumblebee!
Set.
Hi!
It's Resident Evil Village. That's the mold house.
I don't know what that means.
I got the
Oh,
flower
well.
dish all over my shirt.
I appreciate that. I'll keep it in.
It's like Resident Evil Bioshock and Resident Evil Village because of the mold. And if
Yeah.
you go inside, you'll get infected with the mold because you had to go in to save your wife, but your wife was dead the whole time, and so are you.